established President Duda. While many European leaders are critical of Mr. Trump's policies, including his tough stance on trade, Duda remains one of his biggest supporters. Joining us are Fred Kemp, the president and CEO of the Atlantic Council, and Tori Whiting, a trade economist at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome to both of you. Fred, what do Mr. Duda and Mr. Trump have in common that makes them so chummy?
Well, you know, I was actually in Poland when Trump made his foreign trip there, and President Duda hosted him. And there are a lot of places where President Trump lands, and he's got a lot of people booing him or carrying signs. And in Poland, he was an arriving hero. And so I think that's a good thing. And the other thing is President Trump isn't beating up President Duda about Poland's democracy. And he embraces, to a certain extent, Duda's two reasons for being here. One of them is he would really like permanent U.S. feet on the ground, soldiers on the ground in Poland as a deterrence to Russia. Right now there's just a rotational basis. And he likes American LNG, liquefied natural gas. He'd like Poland to be a hub for that energy, again, as a way to offset Russia.
Tori, they seem to have also a shared, maybe the word is too strong, disdain or skepticism of the European Union and the European community overall. That was for Tori. I'm sorry, Fred.
No, sorry.
Well, I think you're correct to an extent. You know, really the United States is hoping to be able to, of course, negotiate a bilateral agreement with the United Kingdom, and so we're optimistic that, you know, a separation from the EU will allow the UK to have more ownership over the way in which it does its trade policies. And so, you know, if there is some similar interests with other countries in the EU, of course, the president's going to be open to that. But really what this is about, I think, in the trade concept is that the U.S. and the EU need to be continuing to work together against their mutual concern, which is China. And we're seeing that hopefully come to fruition with some of these bilateral talks with the EU overall with the U.S.
Yeah, but Tori, let's face it, you know, Andrzej Duda just last week called the EU an imaginary community. I mean, they are part of the eastern expansion of the EU of some years ago, but they feel like they're still, you know, an adopted child in all of this. They don't feel like they're getting the benefits of being members of the European community. So I wonder, any talks that the president has with this particular president, what impact can that have on Angela Merkel and the president of France and others in the European Commission?
Well, I think that we hope that continued conversation between the U.S. and any leader in Europe, whether it's at the EU level or the individual country level, that it will result in further cooperation and furthering relationships with those countries, whether it's economically in regards to LNG or natural gas or in other